Hello. In this video, we will be going over multiplanar movement as well as discussing tensegrity and how it relates to the body. To start things off, we're going to start with the GH joint or glenohumeral joint. That's just a fancy word for your shoulder joint. The movement is going to be abduction and adduction. What you're seeing now, this is abduction. You're moving away from your body, moving up and away. Inversely, adduction is kind of adding it to your body. That's how I like to remember it. You're bringing it closer to your body, closer to the midline. You see this movement a lot in baseball, like abduction, especially with pitchers in their windup. They'll come out to this position when they're ready to throw. This is the abduction part of it. And the adduction part is, let's say you're in the gym and you have a cable machine. You're pulling it down in a fashion such as this. That is adduction. Now, both of these movements were in the sagittal plane, and they were moving in a lateral axis. Lateral, lateral looking like this. Next, we're going to discuss the lumbar spine. That's the part of your spine that's right here, the lower part, in between thoracic and the sacrococcygeal areas. And now we're going to go lateral flexion. So just like before, we're just bending. We're still in the sagittal plane. That's where we're splitting the left and rights. And it's a lateral movement. It's a lateral axis movement. Lateral, lateral. It's like you got a pole right here. And you're just moving on the pole. And now we're going to talk about the shoulder girdle. I'm going to turn into the frontal axis, where we're split into front to backs. And this is what protraction looks like. Okay? You're moving forward. Moving forward. And retraction is just the opposite. You're moving back like that. So like I said, it's in the frontal axis. Frontal plane, my mistake. Frontal plane, and we're moving in an anterior-posterior axis. And now I'm going to stand in this chair so you guys can actually see me. We're going to talk about knee flexion and extension. It's going to be tough to see. But this is what knee flexion looks like, you see? Flexion, it's when the angle becomes lower. It's like less. You're lessening the angle of a joint. Whereas the opposite, knee extension, is keeping it straight. You're extending it. You're going like 180 degrees. That was just in the frontal axis, much like our shoulder girdle. And it was moving in an anterior-posterior axis again. So front to back, front to back. Now it's going to be real tough to show you what our hips are doing right now because I'm so high up, but hips, we're going to talk about them in a medial and lateral rotation. So once again, you're looking at me in the sagittal plane, and well, actually no, this will be in the transverse plane because we're moving around a vertical axis. So this is going to be tough to maneuver. Maybe I'll just pick up the camera. All right, so turning like this, that is internal rotation. If you look up, my hip, it's turned into my body, towards the midline, right? Now, if I go away, let's just see. How does that look? I actually can't see. But like that, it has been turned laterally. Not sure how well that was seen. Whoops. If this thing could stand, that'd be great. Alright, so once again, that was in the transverse axis, as well as, no, not transverse axis, transverse plane, my mistake, transverse plane, and it was moving in a vertical axis. We're moving around it. Flexion of the lumbar spine is seen a lot in something such as yoga. And in many of their positions, you're doing like the tree or pencil or whatever this is, and you're bending over to the side, right? That's where lateral flexion of the lumbar spine will be seen quite often. And speaking of the shoulder girdle, it's the protraction and retraction of it is very important in the movement of a bench press. When you retract your shoulders, you're creating your base, right, for bench pressing. That provides you with just stability, support, and stuff for when you're benching. The flexion and extension of your knee is used a lot in the activity of soccer. You know, you're coming up I don't really want to stand for this, but you know, you're kicking it. You flex your leg back. You flex your leg back. Put it forward. You kick the ball. And medial and lateral rotation of your hips. The best thing that I can think of, the best example is like you're skating and you're playing hockey or you're figure skating, and you need to stop. So you turn your feet. One way is going medially towards your body, and the other one's going laterally. So you're using kind of both at the same time in order to stop, like skirt, skirt. Now that we've talked about multiplanar movement, let's talk about tensegrity. I've built this tensegrity model out of pencils and elastics, and let me tell you, it was a hassle. It's broken many times. So, okay, when you pull on it, you notice that everything's under tension. Everything's under tension. This is very similar to the body, and I'll get to that in a second. So you pull one part of it, and another part of it moves. The whole structure changes when the tension and pressure's been changed. Now, much like the human body, it is an object that is full of tension and always under pressure because of gravity and tendons and ligaments and all that jazz. So, in the way it relates to posture, I'll use myself as an example. Let's say I've got a really nasty hunch, right? I'm standing over here like a crippled old man. Well, all these muscles, they're all relaxed, and the muscles on the back are working super duper hard to try and keep me forward. That's way too much stress placed on the body. It's way easier just to stand like this. Not only that, but if you take a look at the model again, since the whole thing moves, it means that the whole structure is interconnected just like the body. So if you have a kink in your hip, it's probably not a kink in your hip. That's what the modern theory is. It could be something wrong with your knees or your arches or something in your calf. Something could be tight. I've experienced this a lot with baseball when I'm throwing. Like, I'll get some tightness in the bicep, and our trainer, he's like, oh, no. That's not your bicep. It works in the shoulder, the scapula, your traps, a little bit of lats, and it all loosens up and it stops being so tight on the bicep. Tensegrity, it's applicable to the body. It's a lot of tension under it, a lot of pressure, the whole body. It's a big tensegrity model. It's really neat. And that is the video. That was multiplanar movement and a primer on tensegrity. Goodbye.